Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Let's do this, guys. Welcome, welcome. We've had a huge weekend in sport karate world, and we're excited to talk about it and what all it means for our sport. As always, guys, you know we are sponsored by the Virtual Fight Tour, and man, they had a big weekend. The Virtual Fight Tour did everyone involved. So it was great seeing Jesse and Team Next Level out there performing. But again, September 24th, 25th, 24th is Put Up or Shut Up. Put your money up, guys. Let's see who the best team is. If not, then shut up, right? Pretty simple.
Huh.
And then the next day is the King of New York. 2-round fights for all point fights. It's going to be huge, guys. So check it out. Contact Jesse Ray. Check out virtualfighttour.com. Check out my Eventex. Get registered and let's go. So, what do you think, Alex? What do you think we're going to see?
Good evening, Jackson.
What's up, Jackson?
Hey, wait! Doesn't Jackson get married in like a couple of days? Something like that.
He's getting married, this weekend. So.
Yeah, happy early congratulations to you and your newly bride, Gabrielle.
Yes.
Oh, speak of the devil, there's Gabrielle right there. Look at this.
Oh, there she is.
Can you
awesome.
get a better
What's
couple?
up, Drew?
Look at that.
I know.
All right,
so
brother.
We're excited for that. Also, guys, there's something else big this weekend, and that's 2 of our sport karate fighters and legends in our sport, like real, are having their full contact fights this weekend with Karate Combat. Robbie is going to debut in the league, Robbie Lavoie. And, of course, Ross Levine is going for the title, the middleweight title. So this is going to be awesome. Yes, so this is going to be great. Wish them a lot of luck, guys. Share the fights. Go and watch. I know you can see it on YouTube, Facebook. All that's going to be live. So let us know if you're going to be able to make it down there and watch. So I'm excited to see how it's set up. I think it's around the Universal area, Universal Studios area. So,
well, I'm really glad that both of them are doing this. I mean, we watched, what Ross can do in that. I think had Glory stayed around, he would have excelled quite a bit in that. I feel very confident in that. Although, kickboxing it's somewhat of a different world. It's somewhat, of a different culture. But I really believe like something like Karate Combat, it's as close to what we're used to, on a daily basis in open sport martial arts tournaments. So I think I hope the money's right. I mean, I'm not trying to, look or count anybody's pocketbooks. Because the reason I say that is because I feel like this is ideal for what really his skill set, is. And that's not to say that if he was like, you know what, I'm going to go Bellator, MMA, or I'm, the UFC came knocking, that they couldn't be great. Because I absolutely think that he could. And I say they because I believe Robbie could as well. Now,
yes.
I think what we have that's a little different is in Karate Combat, you don't have any kind of groundwork. You're not grappling. So
there's like, I think 5 seconds or 10 seconds on the ground. Yeah.
It's typically used for like, they're on the ground.
Follow-ups.
Let's strike them while they're on the ground.
Exactly.
That's kind of it. But I love that it's a striking sport. So I'm really, really interested to see what Robbie does. I mean, obviously, what's the move you want to see Robbie do? Come on, man.
Spin hook kick.
I want to see that. I want to see that MF spin kick somebody. That's what I want to see. Somebody just laying a soft back leg roundhouse kick up there. They just don't know that they don't know. And then pow, lights go out.
Yes. Oh, yes. Even his lovely
Yeah, poor Stan.
fiance
Yeah, of
agrees.
course.
She
I
wants
mean,
to see the
Chrissy's got a
same.
little, yeah. I mean, she's got a little biased opinion, but as she should.
That's right. That's right. What's up, Dr. Crum? It was great meeting you as well, sir. Oh man. All right. So let's get into
Let's
it.
get
We got
into it, brother.
a big one. I'm gonna go ahead and put the show topic on. People may, but it is what you have said and we have talked about. Battle doing battle things, and that can be taken in a lot of ways. So let's see.
If
Let's
you've
get
been to the
into it.
Battle of Atlanta in the last 10 or 15 years,
20 years.
or more, all right,
Yep.
you just kind of know that that's what it is. You get the highs, you get the lows, and the only thing you know is
Yep.
like it's the battle. Battle does battle things.
So before we get into like the details, again, I think this is one of the biggest battles in a while. I'm thinking, I know Thursday night when I got there, they were telling me 1,200 competitors already. So I'm thinking 1,400 to 1,500. Most people pre-register these days. Men's open weight, 65 fighters. I think it was 24, 25 women fighters in theirs. The 14 to 15 black belt divisions had many divisions that were 30 plus in those. I know we're going to get into.
I was going to ask you, well, what do the juniors look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, that division was, 16, 17 is stacked with talent. 14, 15 is just like raw, like so many people that, could be that next one. So it's really exciting division to watch. A couple of my students were in there, and it was their first time, going to a NASCAR tournament. So it was an eye-opening experience for them. So it was really cool seeing that. Teams, I think there's 8 or 9 women's teams. I think like 11 or 12 men's teams. And even a little bit, even like that morning. Okay, so this is something, the Battle Mania divisions that morning, right? So I got there Thursday,
early Friday morning.
Yeah, so early Friday morning. So I got there Thursday. They had the first coaches meeting on Thursday, right? They have their camps, have a lot going on. Friday morning, 9:00, they start fighting. So we had the mixed teams. I coached one of my teammates to that. There was tag team sparring. There was continuous sparring. Lots of different things. And they probably had about 80 competitors doing that. Which really some people are like, oh, it's only 80 competitors. That's pretty good. That's 80 coming to do something extra that they weren't having before, right? So,
yep.
And there was top fighters, that were doing it. Like Tyreek Saint did those divisions to get himself warmed up and ready to get going. So it was great to see with that. Got to see Rashad fighting in tag team, and so it was a fun time. I think it was a great experience. Oh man, he tag team spar with Joe Rhodes, I believe. Yeah, and then I believe it was Abaya and Tyreek together. So Abaya Williams and Tyreek. So just lots of randomness. Yeah. So lots of random stuff. Just like, hey, I'm doing this. You want to team with me?
One of those
Let's go.
Is not like the other.
Yeah, it was interesting. But so the big thing that was different, and we got our email last week before the tournament, was that they were doing a coaches meeting. Okay. And you had to go to the meeting to get your pass. So one thing, I know other tournaments have done this in the past, but they only had like one meeting or two. This, at least the battle had 4. And I thought it was good, at least to at least get everybody on the same page. Now, the problem was there just wasn't that much to talk about. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we're good. We're going to behave.
Well,
we got it.
We didn't think that there was going to be much to talk about. Looking back on it now, you would have talked about quite a bit if you would have known it was going to play out the way that it did.
Correct. We would have asked more about rules and such, but It was kind of like, hey, if you have a rules question, look at NASCAR.com. That was pretty much what was told to us. Okay. So,
which is okay. if it's going to
Yes.
go
Hey, Tony.
exactly like that. But as we know,
Correct. And it doesn't always do that. And again, honestly, I should have stepped up more, and other ones should have stepped up more on the form side, because there were some issues I'm going to get to about that, just things not being called. Yes, $76 or $70 for a coach's pass. Yeah, this is steep. So here's my big problem.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
A coach's pass is $76.
Yep.
How much for early registration for a division?
70, 75. Yeah. Now that included your spectators as well. I think spectators was $50. So
right, but if you just registered for a division, wouldn't it just be the same thing?
Yeah,
and then now you could coach. But now you could coach as well.
I had to pay for both. I had to pay for the coach's pass and my competitors. So
that seems ridiculous.
Yeah. So yeah, Mike Bates, does a great point. This is one of the first things I want to bring up. Coaches meeting should have happened with the judges there, because it's funny to me that we had these coaches meetings, but there was not a judges meeting. Okay. And that's a big issue, especially when you have certain judges that come just for the battle, because, and there's ex-promoters that I haven't seen in years that were judging, and obviously they didn't know certain things, when it comes to the forms or such. Now, as far as on the fighting side and the adult black belt fighting, I think they had some of the best judges they could for men's and women's.
Let's talk about who some of them were really quick, and then let's move on.
So Chris Walker.
I looked at that and thought
the
battle did a really good thing with that. I mean, you looked at they had some retired fighters. They had Alex Lane out there, man.
Yes.
And
you had a combination of active judges and former competitors that they're not just former competitors, they can judge, and they've been judging actively as well. Like, Abeda, Alex Lane, Chris, Jeremy Roque, all those guys aren't just, hey, they're really good back in the day, let's bring them in. No,
but the other thing about them as well, like, you're right, but those are all guys that all fighters would be like, oh yeah, I feel great about that. They're like they're the people's choice, right?
Right.
That's who we would want, right? If you see a lineup, listen to that. Let's just take a listen to that. Chris Walker,
Justin Ortiz,
Alex Lane. I think Justin Ortiz was out there too.
Yep, Justin Ortiz.
Justin Ortiz.
So those five were great.
Yep. Jeremy Roque.
Yep.
That's the best.
Yeah. Yep, that's great. And they did a great job with the men. The women, I think, had, Christine Rodriguez was the center. Jared Liker was there. Richard Osborne was there. There were several others. I thought everyone did a great job, really consistent in my mind. And I saw more of the women's side as far as because I was there either coaching or supporting. J.O., a lot of those guys, the one thing is, well, competitors couldn't coach on their own. They had to have a coach's pass there, Doug. Yeah. So I had to get that as well. Here's one thing. There was not a – yeah. All right. So there was not a – just to clarify things, I don't want to be like, hey, they didn't have a meeting. I know there was a Zoom call with about 8 officials about fighting. So I know that. I've heard that from some of them. So I don't want to make it like they didn't ever meet or anything like that. But it's funny to me that there was like – we had all these meetings for coaching, but not for judging, and especially for forms. I actually think you need it more for forms than fighting, because of just all the details. I'll go ahead and go into it. First division of the day for the 30 plus. There was a big violation there with aerials and creative, and upside down techniques and creative, and nothing was done. I do want to also comment on some too, just like in our culture too, but that was one of the things. And here's a couple of things that I have for that. All right. So competitors, especially like myself, I've been in for so long, I don't want to complain or arbitrate. Why is that such a culture in forms, but it's normal in fighting to arbitrate? Why do we think that? Does anyone know? Like, like a lot of us don't want to arbitrate in forms. We just don't want to be that person. But fighting, I guess it's a little different because it's 1 point a lot of times, unless
1
it's a
point
straight
is
up DQ.
massive.
It is massive,
Right.
but it's
And I
still
think
it doesn't mean the end of the fight. With this, I'm kind of saying, hey, this guy, kick him out. You know, that's kind of like no one wants to win by DQ. You know what I mean? And it's
no
the
one
same
wants
thing
to
for
win by
forms
DQ.
in
But
fighting as well.
Jeff,
So,
you've competed when guys have tried to protest before. You know what
yeah.
guys do that kind of thing. And you've even thought they're doing it. You've even thought, or maybe verbally said, I know some people have verbally said, and you're going to go like, you're that guy? You're really going to do that right now? You're going to be that guy?
Right.
Right? And maybe what they're doing isn't wrong, right? But when they like, oh, we got to get an arbitrator over here. He did a move that he's not supposed to do.
Right.
And you go, you want to be that guy? You really want to be that guy? And
Exactly.
And the reason why I've never wanted to do that is because if I now arbitrate, there's zero chance they're going to give me the win now, right? Because of what I've just done. Because it's not like point fighting where if I kick someone in the face, they have to go like this. I mean, obviously they can screw you over, but it's like, what are you going to do? I have to stop the match. I have to acknowledge something that just happened. In the form, I can just go, didn't like it, 9-6.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Right? Yeah. And so there's just a lot of craziness when it comes to it. When you see a guy who should clearly be winning the overall of overalls, and you're like, you win a division, which we'll get into. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to cut me off periodically because I'll rant today.
Yeah. No. I'm gonna get on that too. But I mean, this could be a long show, guys. And again, we have a lot to talk about fighting, but there is a lot of things about forms that happened this weekend that were just weird, right? So Pickett says, yes, I was told in coaches meeting we could only arbitrate for illegal moves and divisions, and the 30 plus had to happen on repeat. It was a lot of that. You know, Jackson.
And let's just I want to quickly mention that what you mentioned, like an aerial in a creative division. This is not new. This is not a new thing.
No. This isn't new.
Getting DQ'd for that since the inception of this division in 2004. This division is almost 20 years old.
Yep.
Right? That means kids competing in it were not alive to know what it was before that. Right?
Right.
Go into the 30 plus, right? They understand exactly. They just did it because they thought they could, and they'll continue to do it if you let them.
They're like, oh, they saw someone do it, so well, I'll do it too. So it is what it is, you know. And one thing I want to say just about the 30 plus divisions, the 40 plus divisions, they're more stacked than ever. You know, it was awesome compete, especially in those creative and extreme divisions. Think about it when we were younger. We looked at those divisions. We're like, this is easy. Those guys are old. They're not doing anything. Now it's like, man, they're doing just as much. You know, you have 30 plus guys that are, doing, still flipping and doing crazy things and releases and stuff. You know, you got people jumping out of the ceiling like Tim Conkle and Chad Cannon. You know, you have same thing with Kevin Kowalski, who's super clean and doing super high jump outside crescents. You know, you have but also here's the thing too, everyone's different. That's something that is really cool. Everyone has their own style. You know, my style is not the same as Tim's or Chad or Edgar or Brett Thomason or anybody. Everybody's different, and it's really cool to see that. So check those divisions out, guys. They're deep.
I love what you were saying when you were like, look, guys are getting better. Guys are getting better. If you think back to like, all right, I just kind of mentioned, like we talked about, like the inception of this division, right? Look at how athletic the competitors are in the 30s right now. All right, you and I kind of mentioned today when we were chatting. I was like, we talk about one of the 40s. Greatest forms coaches today and practitioners and competitors is Mike Welch. Right. Mike Welch, let people's brain wrap around this, right? He's one of my guys. Yeah. He's going to be 40 this year.
Right.
Not he's turning 30. Exactly. He's going to be 40. What up, Mike? right? So, yeah,
Yep.
man,
Yep.
if you get a guy doing, and he is extreme, you do tricks like that. Guys don't do that. Guys weren't built like that to do that at 40, right?
No,
So
no, no. So
look at
no,
now to
it's completely
rewind
different, and
10
especially now,
years. Look at what guys are
right?
going to be doing. Like, are you crazy? Are you crazy what guys in the 30s are going to be doing? Right? They might be
Right.
better than the guys coming in at 18, although there's a guy, I don't think anyone's better than, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah. But yeah, and agreed. Senior divisions are more exciting and closely contested than some 1829. We got to
Yes,
start showing more
this
love
is
to the 30
accurate.
plus. Yep. So again, it was a good night. Actually, what's funny is it wasn't night. It was like we started visions at 1 p.m. So
That's cool.
lots going on. The night just kept going on and on. It was a long Friday, okay? Because everything was stacked. I mean, we're talking about 65 open weight, and they only did it in 2 rings, not 3 or 4, You have
Good
all those
thing that
14, 15
started as early as
divisions
they did.
that were huge. I mean, one of the 14 plus divisions, 14, 15 divisions, they had like 35. So they did the whole, remember when the battle did they took the top 10 seeded people and moved them to one division and then made 24 go after, and the top 4 moved on to go against those top 10. And then they had 14.
Yeah.
So you did two divisions, so certain things like that happen. Okay. This is I did not know this happened. So Drew says we have got to do something about them only having 3 judges in 30 plus grands. They had 5 judges in underbelt grands, but only 3 in 30 plus. I definitely agree.
So I don't
It's
necessarily
the same person I was talking about on the show, Jackson. So
I don't necessarily think they need to have 5, but it is, listen, I'm going to call it what it is. I don't care what tournament does it. It is dumb to have, more judges for a blue belt division than it is
right.
for your most seasoned and skilled martial artists in the world, right? And not just the city, the world, Craig. Right? So, like, what are we talking about? It's whatever, man. It doesn't make any sense. So, Drew's right.
Yeah, let's look at this too. Yeah, close to 20 hours of officiating over 2 days. That was most of us officials, monster division. Yeah, I mean, I got to give it up to them, man, because they worked their butts off. Yep. Thank you so much for all that. I mean, we may complain about things, but it's not really y'all. It's not you guys. It's more of like
the organization.
Certain things that people should be known, should be told, So
are the officials set up for success?
Right, exactly. There you go. So here's one of the things that we used to have to do, especially in the NBL and for Super Grands, because again, let's say those judges are sitting there. We're still in forms right now, guys. Sorry, but they have a creative division come up. They have a musical division come up. They have an extreme division come up. How do they know? They see those words, but all they're told is just, okay, it's creative. What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, they need to be reminded, the judges, but also the competitors, what it is. Literally, that would take 1 minute, because it's not that the rules are not that extreme, or it's make sure, okay, guys, so this is creative. Let's remember, only 360, no upside down. Boom. That's it. All right, that's guys, musical. We want to see some, we're going to score you higher if it's choreography. If you're on to the beats, you can do as many flips as you want. It's go. Extreme. Hey, we need to see at least 1 upside down or flip technique, which to me, I feel like there should be at least 3 for extreme.
Yeah, the focus
that's another thing
should be on the extreme moves.
Right. So I saw some divisions where there was only 1 extreme move done by the whole division. And I was like, what is it? What was the point? Their form looks the same as their creative. So I think there needs to be more emphasis on those things. So, like, make everybody aware, when the scorekeeper knows more about than anyone else, that's not a good thing, right? So I think everybody needs to be working together more on that. So, let's see. Let's go ahead into the fighting.
No,
there's so much. So let's see. During Weapons on Friday, me and Alex and Jared were judging. We made sure we clarified rules based on division to be sure everything was solid. Awesome.
That's
we
good.
Didn't get that in the ring next year.
No. And this is where I wanted to go before we jump into the fighting, which I do want to do. So look at what he just said. and look at who it was that was saying it, right? Obeda Ben Wally was saying on Friday, we all got together and talked about the divisions to what they were supposed to be. Okay,
Yep.
let's talk on that. So we just got done talking about the people's choice. If you would have just given all fighters like a choice, like you write down 5 names, I'm pretty sure it would have got to those 5. Jero, Obeda, Chris Walker, Justin Ortiz, and Alex Lane. You kidding me? If you let them know, hey, these guys are available, they'd be like, oh yeah, give me them. That's exactly who they would have said, right? So why didn't we get that reforms?
Correct.
We
Correct.
were in Atlanta. Why was Marcel Jones?
Why wasn't Marcel judging?
Why was Marcel Jones not there? What up, Marcel?
Ashley
Why
Lane
was Calvin
judged
Toka?
the 14-15, you know. Calvin wasn't even there. I never saw him.
I know that, but you see what I'm saying? Like, it's the Bet of Atlanta. That's your guy, you know?
Right.
I know he was
young, you know, there were some other ones, you know, there were good, you know, some like Young Wan was there as a good judge. You know, different ones like that. You know, Jared was there, but he didn't judge any forms. He judged fighting. You know, there was, Marcel was there, but he wasn't judging.
He should have been
what
featured.
We were saying, Obeda, you know.
He should have been featured.
Right.
Right.
You know,
he really should, because it's not like, oh, Marcel was really good. He was that guy. No, he's still coaching guys like that today.
Right.
Right. So that's why he should have been.
And that might have been why he wasn't, you know. And there's Jackson, you know, a lot of times they have too many students to judge, you know.
I get that. That's a good pushback on that. Okay. That's cool.
Obeda said he did judge. I didn't see him judge, but okay.
Yeah. And of course, you know, you're going to get, I didn't see him judge either, but you never see from, you know, live streams. I wasn't.
You never know what's going on.
Nobody cares.
So, yeah.
Oh, Calvin was there Thursday night. Well, that's cool. Well, see, but this is what I mean. Like, imagine this, because he was there one year was Carmichael Simon, right?
Yeah.
If you get Carmichael, you get Calvin, you get Marcel, Chris Walker should also be judging in this one, right? You get Chris Walker, and then throw Matt Emig in there. Right. That is the division you want, especially if it's like a CMX grant, right? But then you get someone else. Maybe you get like, all right, you get John Sue in there. Like, all right, why not? You're the Bat of Atlanta. Right. If you are the premier martial arts tournament in all tournament history, you should be like, come on in, guys. Let's come back. We'll make this you have to be there type event. But it's not like that anymore. Now, the event where it's like, hey, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You go to bump elbows with everybody around. It's the martial arts super show. It used to be a tournament like the Bat of Atlanta, right? Or to the Diamonds to some degree, or the U.S. Open, right? But it could be that again if treated that way.
Right. All right, so let's get into the you know, there were some great open weight divisions, lots of upsets. You know, Bailey going out the first round. You know, different in the women's. You know, like Cassandra losing in the first round. Different ones that have been. You know, by the end of it, it was in women's. It was Katana versus Katsukiya, which however you say that, and then again right after that, women's team started, and you know. Katsukiya, who just won her team, Diamond, her and Mel, lost first round to Heartland South. So there's a lot of just parity right now in that women's division. You know, Heartland South definitely pulled out, you know, a huge upset going through all those teams, and some great fights. You know, entertaining fights. You know, really on the stage we could have seen the future of women's fighting with, you know. Miss Kadir Tahira and Brianna Nurse versus Victoria and Jaden. Just it was great to see, you know, and both of them had great fights and went through teams. You know, they went through I believe top 10 went through the team that had Katana on it. You know, so lots of just exciting. You know what I mean? And I like women's teams with the 2-person format. It's quicker. It's interesting. You know, in some ways it can be more exciting. I love men's teams. I'm not saying like I like it more, but I like the way it's set up for that.
Yeah.
And it's more feasible to find 2 right now than 3. I know we are getting more women, which is exciting to see.
I hope they
But I
stick
still
around
think too.
so that we can get
I
3 women
still.
teams.
Do you
And
think? Do we
maybe
need that? Do we think we need 3 women teams though?
listen, whether we do 3 women teams or not, the more they stick around, the better the
Yeah.
pool of fighters is going to become.
Exactly.
So I
Exactly.
personally
Yeah.
would like to see it getting to the point where there's 3 women teams. But you can't if there's only like 14 people possible to field in the division. You're in team fighting, like 14 women total. Like, really, is going to do 3 women teams? Like, you can't do that, right? So, and I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm just saying, like, there's clearly been that or less in the past, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I just hope that
I mean, overall, I think it was a big plus for the women's fighting this weekend. Just lots of great fighters, and everyone did a great job. Yes, I agree. We need 30 plus teams with acquired 40. It's really hard to do the 30, 40, 50. I think it's really hard to do that. I totally agree, Obeda. And we were trying to do it like my team. We have a 30 plus and 2 40 pluses, and actually we have 2 30 plus and 2 40 plus. We don't have a 50. I would love to have that. That would be great.
Wait a minute. Isn't the way that it's set up is you have to have a 30, a 40, and a 50?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way it is right now.
Right. And that's why there's not a lot. But if you could be like,
that's
if
why
you could do a 30 and 2 40s
and a 40,
I think you'd have more.
Or just even if you went to 35 plus and just made it, that may be a little bit better. I think the hard part is that you can't have a whole team of 30 plus, because some people go like on that low end, you know what I mean? So yeah. So, or again, 2-man 30 plus would be all right, or 2-man 40 plus. Maybe that would be interesting because it's kind of set up that way already with or just 2-person, 130, 140. I don't know. But I think there's some figuring out on that,
and the reason why
is that, I think ATL won that, just so you guys know. Congrats to ATL for winning that. And Heartland South won the women's teams. Friday, after all the open weight stuff, and if you guys want more detail on who won stuff, of course, look on Matt Action. You can also listen to CTE. There was a little bit that was Tony, you're a character. Yeah. You had 3. He has, what do you say, 5 50 plus?
Yes, or
3 50 plus. Okay. Oh, man. Yeah.
Everybody else is like retired, done fighting, and Tony's recruiting them at 50.
Yeah, recruiting them at 50.
He's teaching them karate at 52.
That's true. Oh, man. Next thing we know, we're going to be getting like a want for the 60 plus teams. It's like, oh, man. But overall, guys, Friday was good. It was just long, but it wasn't like the tournament wasn't ran bad. That wasn't why. It was just a huge night, Also, it being in 3 different rooms is tough. I would have loved if we could have had, more in a certain room. The way it was set up this year, the stage was so huge, and they had it already pre-set up for Friday night fights, pretty much. So there was only 4 rings in the main room. Do you remember like 2015, 2016? It was in that same place. There was what, like 8? There was like 8 in that place, 8 rings in that place, I think, or maybe 7 in that room. There was only 4 this time, so that made it hard, Huh?
So that's challenging.
Yeah, now you had 4 in that main area. Then as you come up the elevator, which was nice, except Saturday when you have competitors there for runoffs and the sun is beaming right in their eyes as they're trying to throw the weapon up. That's a little.
I know what you're talking about.
A little tough, Yeah. So, that there's a lot of things that need, definitely, I think, more rings, and actually maybe not more rings. I just think in one facility, in one area, because it's
Do you mean
easier
more
to get
like
people from one to the other
so?
if everyone's in the
Okay,
same spot.
just to understand what you're saying, are you saying like it would be easier and better if it was all in one room, one big room,
One room,
kind of how
15
the
rings
U.S.
in
Open
one
does it?
room instead of what 15 rings in 4 rooms, maybe 5 rooms. Like that
Yeah,
that's tough. You know,
I do
especially
like.
even though go ahead.
Go ahead,
You
man.
like what?
Well, no, I was gonna say I do
Well,
like it when
yeah.
you're saying it that way. Events like we mentioned the U.S. Open, or there's been a lot of events like Capital Classics, um, compete nationals, where it's just
Yeah.
one big ballroom.
Yep.
Everything is under there, and it's
Yeah.
categorized. This is what we're gonna do, because
Yeah.
when you walk into the ballroom, you get the full depth of really
The
how
feeling.
big this event
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah.
And you can go to a very
You
efficient
we had one of the
tournament.
biggest tournaments. This is one of the biggest tournaments in the United States in years, and it didn't necessarily we didn't get all of that at once, you know what I mean? That was the only
That's
thing that was kind of a
okay,
shame.
but
Oh,
it
yeah, yeah,
would be
yeah, yeah.
nice if it
Right.
was like that. But
Tony,
now
it
we're
was,
kind of
they were
splitting
up
hairs.
Tony, they were up 20%, I think, than what they expected. So again, I'm thinking 1,400, maybe 1,500 competitors. I
Yeah.
know that they had 1,200, I think at least 1,200 pre-registered
To give
on
a little
Thursday night.
context is where that's at in some of the highest years, other
I don't know really.
competitions, like the best
Yeah.
in NASCAR would get like 2,200, 2,300 at the peak like of their tournament existence, right? They would get
Only
that
the
high.
best would. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the best of the best would ever
Yeah. Yeah.
get that.
Like
So if
again,
they're
like
hitting,
when Carmichael and I and we talk the Grand Slams, when we say the Grand Slams in our sport, it's the Battle, US Open,
right,
Diamonds, Bluegrass was in there, those 4, now it's
the can't miss
AKAs.
tournaments, the ones you do
Yeah,
not miss.
AKAs is
Like
there
if you've
now.
only got
So
3 tournaments to go to, you don't miss these 3, no
right.
matter what. So yeah, so it
Yeah, they said
clearly
biggest
was
since
up
2012.
the big. So
Biggest
this was
since
bigger than like 2015 and 2014. Those were big years.
yeah, yeah. 2014-15 was big. And
Yeah,
then the year after, 2016, I remember was really big.
it was pretty big too.
But yeah, this was bigger. So yeah, we're going all over the place. But I mean, this is just exciting, guys. Like everything going on. I know we're gonna miss so many different people. But again, one thing we got to talk about Friday night, and this was a big surprise to me. I didn't find this out until I was doing the show, the pre-show with
Let me hear it.
Jackson and Alex, which was a fun time. I literally got done doing runoffs, took a team picture, ran, and had 1 minute to spare to get on the show. So it was wild. All right. I mean, competition was still going on as we were doing the pre-show. All right.
What'd they tell you?
But we were trying to figure out, who was going to be in the grands and who won this and that. And like, all right, we know that there's 2 favorites, and that's what I said. There's Mason Stowell, and
Yep.
then there's Salif. And Jackson had to break to me that Salif didn't win one division.
And let's
And
be
I was
honest.
like, huh? What?
It is, yes, Mason Stowell. He is the best
He's awesome.
Japanese forms competitor like that competes on NASCAR, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the best, right?
Right.
The only thing that would challenge that is if Ariel Torres decided, hey, you know what? I like doing that thing again. Let me go back and try that. Then you'd be like,
Right.
all right, maybe we got some competition here. But until then, it's just Mason, right?
Unfortunately,
It is the same type of way. I mean, that's not to say anything negative about any of the other extreme form competitors. Salif is different. He is different.
He's
amongst
different.
the competitors, amongst everybody else watching. It is noticeable. It is not close. He is head and shoulders better, more impressive, more jaw-dropping than anybody else in the building.
And you know what numbers he got?
Let me hear
He
it.
got 9 sixes, 9 fours. Okay.
So that is not
Yeah.
so like if you were like, oh, he got 9 9s and then he got like 3 9 8s, and you were like, wow, man, he just
Yeah.
I guess just lost.
He just barely,
Nine
yeah,
sixes,
just right.
That's That seems like.
And again, I don't know. I feel like there are some really good. I feel like Dawson Holt has come a long way, and we talked about it too. He's come a long way in his forms. So him winning, in a close one, but this was weird. Also Shaquan was not there, so that's someone as well who, like, the height that he gets can really kind of take that.
He's exciting.
Yeah, so it was really weird. I was just in shock because I think Salif was one of the best I've seen in years. So, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Abeda says he's the Rudy Rayner of today, which, yeah, definitely. So that was just a weird thing. So I don't know.
Filipino thing.
I'm not sure who the judges were. I'm thinking it was, hate to say it, was some old guys, that didn't know what was going on. So it's just sad to see that. Again, when I'm telling some of the parents, and saying, "Oh, watch this guy, he's the best." But what's funny is that he's going to be gone. He's going to retire this year, and this is his first year as an adult. It's like we don't get to see this guy much longer. Maybe 2 more tournaments. So we need to appreciate that.
It's not like, oh, he's got to pay his dues. Number one, that's the shittiest thing that we do in our competition culture. No, they absolutely do not. If you are better than everyone in the division, you win. That's it. Not like, oh, the judges got to see you for a little while. Like, no, then that means they're shitty judges. I'm sorry. All right.
Yes.
But
chill out, S-bomb.
But
yeah, look at
exactly
that. A
like
5, a 6, and an 8. Time out. A 5, a 6, and an 8. Like, come on. I mean, I think he got better scores than that when he broke his ankle. You know what I mean? I mean, come on. Like, geez. But yeah, so I don't know. It was just odd. There are good competitors up there, but I just feel like, that was one that didn't make sense. Drew, I agree right now. Dawson and Jake are the best weapons competitors right now. They're consistent. They're throwing hard stuff, and Rashad just had a rough weekend. I asked him what's up. He's like, hey, first time since battle last year that I haven't won, or I think he maybe even said 2 years ago. So it is what it is, So, I mean, or like won a division, so that is what it is, I
don't do this often, but look at Pickett's question here. I like that. And this is something that we've all talked about.
Yes, what we talk about, but like Abeda said, it's really hard to do.
It is hard.
I like how, and I think parents like how they don't have to move back and forth from ring to ring. They stay in 14, 15, 16, 17. That's nice. Especially with those divisions of that,
I think the only way you can control that is in the grands.
Yeah, exactly. And even grands are, I mean, we're talking so much about forms. Let's get into Saturday as well, but runoffs, different things. Jackson and I talked about this on the show. You and I have talked about this on the show. Grands has to change. I don't like seeing especially for the junior competitors, it's just not that exciting. There were so many bow outs. There were so many dominations that it was just a demo. I mean, really, the finals took under 2 hours, which is great,
okay,
but still,
which is okay,
but there wasn't any competition. So, like that was kind of weird. It's like,
it was like
I would like to see,
TV show.
I'd like to see a traditional grand and a CMX, an open grand. I'll call it an open grand because that's what it is to me. It's open grand, I think, traditional weapons, Korean, we need to see the variety. I feel like sometimes we run it off so much that it comes down to like nothing and we don't really get a good show. It's like there's certain people, and we always see the same forms, and there's certain people that on stage, they may get the same score from the judges, but they're going to put on a show and it's going to take them up, like a whole nother notch, like that's one thing I always liked about them just taking everybody in for adult grands was at least we got a variety. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to see a Korean form, you got to see an extreme, you got to see all this. We don't get to see that anymore. So, and I think it's more, there's more, it's very similar to me. I don't like traditional weapons versus open weapons and traditional forms versus open forms. I think traditional weapons versus traditional forms to me is better, and then all the extreme, for weapons and forms together. I just think it makes more sense. If you want to break it down another way, there could be, but I think overall that's the best. And
I
also
haven't really thought
for
about that too much, but I guess I've always thought
the
just
juniors too.
forms, weapons, but I could see your
But
argument
it's
for
not similar. It's not
right. Now,
similar.
that's why I thought the more I
Yeah,
start to think about that, I haven't
yeah,
taken enough
it's
time to think
not.
about that, but I guess I could see
Right,
your argument for no, it's best to go
right,
traditional and then
right.
not.
And see, in NASCA, I guess that's the way it's always done. In NBL for years, for 30 years, it was done the other way, traditional open, and it made more sense. To most people, when people came, it was like, oh, okay, I like this. Because then if you are a weapons guy, you have two shots. If you are a forms guy, you have two shots. Because there's some people that are more weapons guys, so it makes it a little, makes it better on that part.
Well, let's get into the are you kidding me moment, which was since we're talking about traditional and I hate the CMX. Let's just call it. We should just make a movement. It should be done with the creative, done with the extreme. It should just be open, make it all one.
Yeah.
That's not our argument for today. All right. So we'll call it out. There was the person who won the creative, musical, and extreme grand championship
Brand
did a traditional form.
form.
That
Right.
happened. All right. And
Now that has happened a lot in the juniors though.
the loophole is they
Well, the M
won
is
the musical
musical.
division.
Right. The M is for musical.
Number one,
So
that should have never happened, right? Because there's no
well,
way you could tell me that shit should have went down.
well, not necessarily, but it was musical. It doesn't say it has to be an open style form. It says it can be anything. So that's where that's got to
the
get cleaned up.
reason for this is to see now there's a
Exactly.
bias
No, I agree. I agree.
for
Look,
the traditional
yeah.
people to win more because the whole reason that we were told to split the traditional and the creative
So
musical
traditional had a
extreme
shot.
was that we need to give the traditional competitors a shot because they can't compete with the guys who are doing the extreme moves, the guys who are doing the musical forms. That's
Right.
not fair because they're doing a form that doesn't have that. Well, then keep them the F in their own division then, because now what you're allowing, because you can't let someone doing an extreme form do it in any way in the traditional grand. That's not okay, right? That there was a reason to split it. So if you're doing a traditional form, stay your ass in traditional. This is not fair. So now you get a traditional forms competitor who can win with a same exact form
in 3 divisions.
2 different grands.
No, well, in 3 divisions too. Yeah, because traditional challenge, Japanese, and that. So we complain a lot about it. And I get what you're saying. I don't have a problem so much with, and again, this isn't against the competitor because they're doing what
not against the competitor.
To win.
It's the system.
Yes, but it's the system. So the only thing I can think of, which again I don't like either, because to me it's like with the Chinese division, right? The Chinese division, they can go into whatever grand they want to, depending on their style or what they choose. I think that's BS. But in this situation, I kind of think the traditional music should be the same way. That should go in the traditional grand. They just do it with music.
I mean, look at that.
I don't really like that because I don't think there should be you don't know how many are going to be in a grand. I don't think there's just a lot of issues with grands, and I think that's one of those. Again, now some people saying, hey, no, I agree, Carolina. If people use the music and we're actually to it, yeah, and that is why the traditional guys are winning, because they're to the beat, and which is what it should be. So there's so many.
Look at that though.
Yeah,
we will allow someone doing an Okinawan form in the CMX Grand.
Right.
But there is
creative in the.
There's no way, because you just gave the example. They're never going to let someone doing wushu go in the traditional.
Go into traditional. No, you're right.
but
Right.
it's traditional.
Right. Right. Well, it's not complaining, Caroline. We're talking about things that you know need to be
Just
addressed
calling out.
because it's just different.
We're just calling out the elephant in the room.
Right. So there's rules in both that need to be, because if it's not right on one end, yeah, we have seen it. And that's why I said before,
love
Maddie,
all the
you know, it
comments,
has been
guys.
done in the juniors. So, but I like the music optional rule. Yeah, I agree, Richard. You know,
If you're in the grand, make music
no,
optional.
no. What he's saying is you have extreme, you have creative. You don't have a musical division anymore. You make music optional. You know,
I can see that. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
because
but I think it is an issue,
I'm
and it's
actually
something
okay
we
with
need to
that.
talk about.
I'm okay with
Actually,
that.
no, Andrew, he didn't do wushu. Oh, in 2018? Okay, maybe 2018. I know in 2013 he did like a Tai Chi type form.
Yeah.
Now I have seen him do try to do a wushu in a NBL traditional one, but I've also seen him do an actual traditional Chinese form in NBL traditional as well. So whatever, there's lots of that. Okay, let's talk about, man. I mean, we've gone over. We're not even going to be able to get to everything. And again, we're not even going to get to all the controversy because we only have a few minutes. But one thing that was big, I thought, and again, it has to do, I guess, with me because I was involved in it, but it's something we've been talking about on this show. And Korean divisions, man. Korean challenge
Korean
is
is
something
back.
that I want. But we had 18 in the men's. We had 15 in the women's. It was great. You know, we had a good variety of forms. Here's the thing. In the men's division, we only saw one gay back. That's mind-blowing.
Wild.
Yeah. In women's, there was a few more, but only one gay back.
If you had 20 people in a men's Korean division, 18 of them would do gay back, and the other 2 would do choreo.
Right. Not this time. I didn't see. There was one choreo. Yeah, there was one choreo. So yeah, so it was
one
it was
choreo
pretty cool.
and one gay back. Are you kidding me?
Right.
That's a great division.
Oh, it was great. You know, it was awesome. So it was an honor for me to be in there to win that division. The division was deep, and there was good competitors. You know, one of the things that I heard though from a judge was that there was only 1 or 2 good competitors in that division, and that is where it really bothers me because that is completely false. That means that judge does not know what the heck they're talking about, what they're looking for. You look at some of these, PKSA, man, you guys did awesome. The Tang Soo Do forms in that division were amazing. Leclerc's PKSA from Michigan, they killed it. You had, myself, Bear Loby was in there. We're talking about just between Bear Loby and I, we have, I don't know, 10 NBL Korean world titles and overall. I mean, it's just, and in other leagues as well. Tracy, Cameron, so many people, I feel like this is the problem. What's happened is that we did, this is a big step, right? Women's was great as well. So I'm just telling everybody that, but when you go to the grands and then there isn't that same respect, it's frustrating. Right. And that's where that's where I think we need to see more Korean. So that's where my focus is getting a Korean challenge. And because here's the deal. If you don't see it as juniors, if we don't see Korean as much, and if juniors don't have any reason to do it, then there isn't going to be a respect there. The judges aren't going to know what's going on. The only reason why the judges know all of these Japanese forms is because people are doing them now.
I would have no idea what they were if I didn't see them.
It took them 5 to 10 years to really start knowing what these forms were. Now they act like they've been doing them. That's not true. A lot of these guys were not doing them. You cannot do Korean in traditional challenge. Just so you know, you cannot do Korean in traditional challenge. So here's my plan. Six divisions. Add 6 divisions. A men's Korean challenge, a women's Korean challenge. Just do exactly like the traditional challenge, okay? and again, rename that. It shouldn't be traditional challenge. It should be called classical kata or kata challenge or something, or,
Yeah.
Whatever. The 13 under female, the 13 under male, 14-17 female, 14-70 male. Okay. Now we have that, right? We have something for those young competitors to do instead of waiting until they're 18 to go back and relearn a Korean form that really they're probably a Korean stylist anyway, and they're being forced. No one's making them do it, but to win,
they feel like
feel
what
like
they're
that.
supposed to do
Exactly.
is a Japanese form. If you guys want to know how we really feel, go back, listen to episode 1.
Yeah.
1. Jeff and I get into this pretty deep, pretty much the whole episode, which was.
Here's a couple things to make it different, because
I don't. Japanese.
My big problem with the traditional challenge in NASCA now is that there's almost no difference in that than the regular Japanese division. So I think there needs to be some type of change there. I feel like a 2 key-op rule, because really in Korean, there's only 2 or 3 key-os anyway. So make that like really a big difference, there's so many different ways that the different Korean styles do it in their closed tournaments. I like and this may be hard for some people to think about. I like a 2 kata thing, what they do or 2 form thing, what they do in the Pumse World Championships, which is WT World Taekwondo. You do 1 form, they give you a score. You come back, right after you do the second form, they give you a score, and they do the average of the scores.
That would be dope. That would be,
because you get an overall to see who is really the best, right? You really get to see it.
Because I will say this, the way the NASCA divisions were, I felt like I don't think there was like 4 guys better than me, but I had 1 form.
Right.
And it was Gaybeck.
Right. So it makes you do that, it makes you learn another form.
I never had to, right?
Right.
I really had 3 good ones, but there was
beta, it wouldn't, because Korean forms are not that long. Especially if people are doing it, they're not long compared to Japanese. A lot of these, and you take out intros. There's no intros. You take out intros, or you do 1 round, and then the top 4 go on to the second round. It's one of those, but there has to be 2 rounds, because if not, we don't want to just see the same thing. We don't want to just see all Gaybacks. We want to push people to do it. There's another great idea. Everyone should do a basic form, and then the next one, and then do the forms of the choice.
I think there should be maybe something like that, Drew. Like, here, there's 4 forms you can choose from. You have to do one of these 4. All right. And then for your second one, do whatever you want, but it has to be under the umbrella.
We're talking about starting this at 1 like they do, or 12 like they do all the other traditional challenges. You know what I mean? And I mean, I think always the cop out is always going to take a long time. So that's why we have to look at how to present it to NASCA in the way that they'll want it. But I feel like we're not asking much by doing 6 divisions. Okay.
This is a step in the right division, in the right direction, though. Right. Remember, when we talked about it, episode 1, was people are just straight up not doing the Korean division because we have Korean style martial artists doing Japanese forms, right? And even when we had John Chung on, John freaking Chung, right? He echoed our sentiment, which was, we think people are doing Japanese forms because they're easier, not because it's a better form. Right? Kata performance. Right? So
and I've been talking to people about it today, but a lot of promoters, a lot of other ones that maybe want to present it, because I think it's something we're there. We showed that people want it, and I think the junior competitors want it, that it's something there. It was a big deal in the NBL because having Korean forms, and it did a lot, to keep people there.
Yo, look what Richard said. Richard's right on.
Great. Yes, more Korean means more fighters, because they do both. All of them do. Look at all the Leclerc's guys. They do forms and fighting. All the AAU Taekwondo guys that were there, They do forms and fighting, So
Yo, speaking of, can we talk about some fighting?
yeah, I know. We got
Let's talk
like
about
a
some
couple
fighting.
minutes, but all
We're gonna
right,
have to go a
biggest.
little more.
No, I know. We got 5 minutes. Who stood out? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about who stood
Yo,
out.
I'm gonna tell you this. I might have some bold statements, but I'm gonna tell you this right now.
Let's go.
Tyson Ray is put himself in the top echelon of fighters.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
Right now. He's the best, right? So and I don't know if he felt like this because he is in a serious deep division, right?
Yeah, he is.
He came out and he found himself in the lightweight overall,
Yep.
I mean,
and the open weight overall. I mean,
his homie,
and he won the open weight. He won the open
Darren
weight.
Payne has been winning middleweight divisions, fighting for heavyweight overalls, winning heavyweight overalls. I mean, I love that middleweight division. That middleweight division intrigues me a extreme amount. I like the guys in that division. They're all so much awesome growth too.
Yeah.
But I gotta believe Tyson's gotta be like, man, you gotta be kidding me. My division versus yours. Get the heck out of here. I used to trash talk guys in school all the time, being like, oh yeah. Be like, oh, I won my division. How about you? How come you couldn't win yours? Because fucking Raymond's in my division, right? Oh, if it's not Ray, I got Jason Borelli. How about that? You got Ryan McGriff. There's a little bit of a difference between Ryan McGriff and Raymond Daniels, right?
Oh, that's great.
But I'm as much as I joke about that to a little bit, I'm being serious. I really, really believe that the way he's fighting, the way that he moves, the way that he
did make his wins look easy, Albeida. I agree. He did. He looked a step above. He looked a step ahead. One of the best fights to me of the weekend was him versus Bailey in the daytime for the overall lightweight grand. It was an awesome back and forth fight. And you were seeing Tyson grow throughout the fight. Maybe at a point where you're like, man, all right, Bailey's in his head now. It's not going to do it. Then all of a sudden, boom, spark went, 4-point swing. And it was awesome, man. Yeah, definitely smooth in every fight. I
think one of the things that I love about the fighters of today, like right now, is, I mean, there was so often guys you'd be like, oh yeah, man, that's a kicker. And some of them are like that, when you see like a Justice Floyd,
Right. Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh yeah, that guy's a kicker. Oh yeah, I mean, this guy's a puncher. That does not exist today.
Right.
It doesn't really exist in the fighters that are coming up today. Like I'm gonna give, because I love doing this. All right, I'm gonna give a basketball analogy. Listen, the NBA draft is about to happen. I think it's tomorrow. Right. And the number one prospect is a kid named Chet Holmgren. All right. That's a name right there. You never thought a kid named Chet Holmgren would be the number one overall pick in the NBA draft. But yes, he is. He's a 7-footer. He's a 7-footer that can cross up 6-foot point guards and cut past them. He's got a deep 3 jumper, right? And he's crazy athletic. He's skinny. He's lean. He can do it all. He really can. You got to be kidding me. Like, they make guys like you? There's no freaking way, right? Because there's no like, oh, he's a 7-footer. He must be a center. He's a 7-footer. Oh, he must be a power forward. He plays with his back to the basket. Not this guy. He does it all.
Right.
And it's the same way
with these fighters. Our fighters
are. You can't put him in a box. Have you seen Bailey's kicks?
They're incredible. Yeah. Would you call Bailey a kicker? He's a great kicker.
He's a fantastic
he's not a kicker. He's a fantastic fighter. That's the thing. And Tyson's the same way.
And just to that question, Drew, when I made that list a few years ago, when I remade that list was of the best kickers. But they were basically guys who you would just go, oh yeah, they're a kicker, right? Because that's clearly what they were. We're talking about Trevor Nash. We're talking about Alex Lane. We're talking about Ryan McGriff. We're talking about Justin Lawrence. Yeah. You know what I mean? Preston. Those are all guys you'd be like, oh yeah. From the moment they say go, the foot's in the air, right? That's not
Right.
Bailey because he can do everything. But
Everything.
it's guys like Tyson, Tyreek, all of them, James,
Yeah.
even James Poor, right?
Right.
They do all of it.
Everything.
I'm so impressed with the talent and the skill level of the fighters of today.
Correct. Yeah, it's awesome. Some other people for me that stood out. Let's see. That I'm going to go the women's. I think Katsukiya being able to win, be in the final for both, is a big deal. That she still we hadn't seen her that much in these big tournaments, so it's interesting to see what happens with that. Danny Allberger winning that. Again, we're seeing people that normally haven't won win, so it's interesting to see where that's going with that. For the men, there was just different people. There was just a lot of good fighters. Ibrahim fought great this weekend.
I like that dude.
Seeing someone like Gabe Ruth fight, which is like, wait, what? Brian Ruth's son is out there fighting. That's cool, right? That's interesting. Let's see. Even someone like Java, because Java, here's the deal, lost his first fight in 40 plus. Then he goes and wins the 30 plus. And honestly, he fought Tyson pretty good in the finals there, So just amazing to see even someone like that who can turn it on and be clutch, when he needs to. There's Devin Hopper, man. That for me on Friday, it was the Devin Hopper show on Friday. That was it.
Yeah, that was so. Let's acknowledge what that was. So Devin is a very streaky guy. Devin probably had the moment that you would talk about.
I know, baby.
Devin Hopper beat Bailey Murphy. That moment happened. Right. And this is the first tournament that we saw Bailey Murphy at. And we've been talking about Bailey Murphy for 6 months. And here he comes. And then, Devin beat him. And, Devin is that talented. We've watched Devin beat Avery Plowden and take him out in the first round too. Now Devin clearly has all that ability. We've got to see Devin do that in the
I think on Friday he went 10-0 on Friday. 10-0. So in teams, he didn't lose a team fight. He didn't lose, and I'm saying like an individual fight. Like he scored more points than everyone on Friday. So was awesome to see. I was really excited to see that team fight between Top 10 and TD because we're talking about 3 heavyweights versus 3 lightweights and 3 more experienced fighters versus 3 like up and comers who have a lot of fighting experience. But
who are top 10's guys again?
Tyreek, Blake Spence, Trent Spence, and Enrique Latona. So those are those 4.
So it probably would have been Tyreek, Blake, and Enrique.
Could have been, Now they put Trent in against Straight Up, and it worked out well for them. So that was.
Yeah, I'm not dogging Trent. I'm just saying.
Blake. No. Trent won his. He won his super lightweight division. So was again, I was excited for that. That didn't happen because of a bow out. There's more of the details of that on CTE. Go and check them out.
Let's check it out. But here's what I don't want to dive in too deep because we have so much to talk about and we have no more time. But what I do see it a little bit both ways. All right. So
yes, I do too.
First of all, when we say the battle does battle things, which is the name of the show, listen to the episode. The battle sometimes can't get out of their own way, right? We're talking about a tournament where no tournament has had this much competitor participation or spectator, right? So far this year.
Right.
Yet, like, come on, man. You're gonna give out like $500 for the overall. Yep, you're gonna give some dude in a Halloween costume $5,000 who you don't even know and didn't win a division. Like, get the frick out of here. All right?
Right. There was a lot of weird things like that. We didn't even get into KJ, or KJ, whatever it is.
I'm not going to because I don't think it's good. Right? After watching that, let them
Yeah.
tweak what they got to do because I don't want to talk about it. It ain't good, right?
Right.
So
No, to me, the best thing they're doing is spreading the money out, and that's a big problem right now. Because again, I was sharing again,
Yeah.
you know, before we would go to a tournament, if we won our division, we knew at least we'd get $100, or if we were runner up in the grands, we would get something. We would get
you get
that
200
money
bucks
back
maybe if
somehow.
you were the runner up.
Nothing now, you know what I mean? Like,
You get
you know,
nothing.
again, here's someone. Gabrielle Dunn wins all 3 women's traditional divisions. She came with no money. Like, just think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, oh, she dominated this whole end of this. No money. There's something wrong with that. So
The
go
guy in a
ahead.
Halloween costume can go out there doing forward rolls,
It was independent.
gets
So,
5K.
yeah. Right.
And I like
Yeah.
Connor Chastain. I do. All right.
Right.
But that was not his best performance.
No, it was not.
4 years ago.
And I think
4
some
years
of
ago,
those
he would have been
guys
embarrassed with
worked down.
that performance.
Yeah, I think that in some ways it needs a lot of changes. I like the concept, but I think people definitely brought their level down a notch, you know. So especially when some of the people were revealed, and I was like, whoa, okay. If we don't know, Bailey Murphy won the overall, the lightweight grand and the overall thing, the battle zone. Okay, so that way you guys know. He brought it on
So
Saturday. He did. He brought it on Saturday. He looked great on Saturday. He was getting through
now
everything on Friday.
the
And then
one thing
here's the
that's
thing.
not
Go, Alex.
excusable, it's not so much the money. It is 100% not excusable what the battle said about
Right.
Katana and Cam Dawson.
Correct.
So
Right.
when we heard, oh, concussion, oh, DQ'd, all right, that's what they said, and then come to find out there was no concussion, there was no DQ, they bowed out, and they didn't want to make it look like, oh, they didn't want to be a part of us.
Right.
We're gonna make sure that no, it wasn't you didn't dump me, I dumped you.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's really the
Right.
game we're playing. You couldn't
Right.
just take the fact that they bowed out.
Right.
You had to try to
Right.
make it look like you dumped them. You know what I
They
mean?
released an apology today. You know, I don't think Katana liked it. She didn't appreciate it. She posted right after. I don't think that was an apology. So there's a lot to be mended. And the thing is with this too is that these people that had the big issue with it are in that area. I mean that's you know it's local people that are upset, not just national competitors. So
now the part that I can kind of see for the battle though is, hey, you did know what
the numbers.
You knew what the prize money was.
Exactly. Agreed. I agree on that.
Tournament.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the money fight, you don't like the money, right? Whereas that's not and I'll tell you this, probably the person who's most known for, boycotts and, walkouts is probably Mike Conroy. At least when he does it immediately before it starts, being like, no, this is not okay. This is not cool.
Yeah.
$300 for the grand prize. It costs, $200 to enter the division. There's 30 teams. Why are you giving $300? This is dumb. We're out. At least he does it that way, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't have the money posted, so there wasn't a way to know for that one. So the moment he found out, he was like, nope, we're out. Boycott now.
Yeah. That's something I'm looking forward to now, like even me, our next team tournament is Capital Classes. The money's not posted yet. Guess what I did today? Myself and the team we're messaging Jim. What's the money? What's going on? We need to know this. Put it out there now. Let us know. Because we don't need to deal with things like that, it's not right. And now when they say, if someone says, oh, well, we're giving the NASCA money. Okay, that's great for those divisions, but there's 2 divisions that NASCA says you can give whatever you want. That's the discretion per. I think that's teams and open weight. So if you have those things and you say, oh, I'm just giving, oh, well, we don't have to give anything. I've been to a tournament before where they said that and they didn't give anything for open weight. And no one knew.
This is why professional sports have a salary cap. It's not just to cap the salary as to how much one can make. It's because in a league like Major League Baseball, they don't have a salary cap. So you think that's the best. but it's not, because guys entering in the you could get drafted and you can make 40 grand,
Right.
but you'll spend 20 grand trying to travel around just to be on the team. So you're really not making
Correct.
any money. You're
Correct.
losing money playing professional sports.
So, guys, I didn't want to do this, but I was going to bring my flyer from the last time I had a tournament and put out
Ooh,
what prize money I gave. And again, I was given $1,000 for men and women for fighting, 500 for open weight. And we're talking about a tournament that only had 500 competitors. Okay.
Yep.
500 for three
too,
different,
right? In 2013.
2018.
18? Okay.
So yeah, 2018. So 4 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. 3 different forms grants, 500 for each of that, plus runner-up money. So for every one, there was runner-up money. I gave divisional money for all the fighters. We had the women's. We had 35 plus grands and 45 plus grands for forms and weapons. Like, we were giving away 300 to 500 for all that for a tournament that had 500 competitors. You know, we're talking about Richard Osborne giving away $500 at his tournament in a couple weeks.
That's a local
Why can't a tournament that has 1,400 competitors do that? Now, my only thing is I'm sure that NASCA said, hey, this is what we're doing. You can't give more because it'll make us look bad. That's what I'm thinking.
State did it.
Is happening. Huh? Yeah.
Ocean State did
it. But that was different. Those were non-NASCA divisions. And so I think that's where they're going, so you have to do something more, something different. So I don't know. I get it in that way, but I think that's why we're seeing these, winner take all thing or whatnot, or open weight or, well, just fight 2 more fights or do 7 more forms so you can get this extra 500 when I should have already got the 1,000 anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Something's got to be changed with it. Again, we obviously love this because we're not doing it for the money. But there still needs to be an appreciation, and I think that's what it's more of a respect factor, of that. So, all right. And we've gotten all over the place, but overall for me, even though all these things I complain about, I had fun. I loved it. It was great. One thing was cool. I got to see a lot of my friends I hadn't hung out with in years. Like the whole NBL crew was together. Bear,
I got a
Corky
question.
Sykes, Edgar. It was a lot of fun.
What's the craziest story or funniest that you have from this weekend that you can tell?
I don't know if I can tell, man. There was just so much funny stuff that
y'all better not be out now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That was a lot. I don't know. I'll have to start off the show with it next week.
What?
I don't know,
you
man.
can't leave a cliffhanger like that.
I didn't leave it. You just asked me a question, and I didn't really have an answer.
Know the answer.
Oh, is there something I told you that I forgot about?
No, but you just know that you know. Come on, man.
Dude, I have so many things in my
something
head.
Cool. Like, what was? All right, maybe this. What's the coolest? Like, man, I got to hang out with this guy. That was a fun time.
All right, here's someone who's always fun to hang out with. Cody Deesberg. Okay, Cody freaking Deesberg is one of the funniest guys. Yeah, and he was there. All right, this is just kind of funny too. Okay, so it was NBL. Drew just sat there and listened to us pretty much dog each other. This is how we love each other, by dissing each other and sharing stories. It was fun. But I see Cody and I are just talking about stuff that happened when we were younger and everything. And I go over to Bear and I say, dude, Cody Deesberg's over there. No, he's not. Well, right when that happens, let's go find him. Cody disappears. So Bear thinks I'm lying to him. They thinks there's just a mystery. So he still thinks that Cody wasn't there. And it's just funny that, he's like, no, he's not. He wasn't there. You're lying. You're seeing things or something. So that was funny. You know what I mean? And just sharing stories, and we even do this on the show, guys. We share the same stories. Sometimes Alex does it all the time.
Oh,
but that's what's fun. Like, we all share the same one. You know what it's like when you get with your buddies and you just share the old stories, and they don't get old. they're just
Oh, heck
fun,
no.
you know.
Yeah,
And
remember the one guy, remember the time, pulled his pants down.
yeah, I mean, Jeff,
It's
remember the
same
time when you
thing,
could
man.
remember the time when you went to 4 different hotels to find your hotel room? Let's just say that, you know, there's that, you know.
Wait, what?
Yeah, yeah, in
Somebody
Vegas,
went to
man.
different actual buildings to find their hotel room?
Yeah, man.
That's a
So
different level.
so yeah, so there's all kinds of stuff there, man. So lots of fun. We had a blast. Sharing stories about Guatemala. Whew. All right. We'll have to do that another time. We'll have to bring on Edgar for that one. All right, guys. This was great. Check out the
Good
Virtual Fight
hanging,
Tour.
brother.
This
We
was
got a
fun, man.
guest
This is a
coming
lot of
next
fun.
week. Stay tuned as to who that is. We'll let you guys know soon. This is a
Yes.
fun one. This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys next week.